The slideshow from pictures from people who scanned them in and sent them to me. Everything isn't always of the best quality, and I apologize for cutting people's words, and I was trying to fit them on the slide. But I did ask Gail if she would start, because she's our history. I know we're moving forward, but it's nice to start with history. So Gail, if you would kindly begin.
Okay. I'm honored to start. As we savor the affection and appreciation we all feel for him as a teacher, a librarian, a colleague, and a friend, we feel these things also for each other. Frank is one of us. He's part of us. More than a building, any school or library is a networked stream of human interactions that happen in it, through it, because of it. GSLIS comes to life in moments of illumination as teachers learn from students and each other. Its life spreads through space and time as illumination kindles illumination. Frank's integration of love and joy and work has enriched the fabric of GSLIS. So thank you, Frank. You help make us one.
Thank you, Gail.
And I did think that this, the end of Two Tramps in Mud season seems appropriate to me. Only where love and need are one, and the work is play for mortal stakes, is the deed ever really done for heaven and the future's sakes.
I see those people in that picture. I recognize them.
Yeah, there's Diane
We thought you were.
Evans and Tony Stankus and Dave Maslin.
And Dean Maslin, yes, and Betsy. And Stu. Yes, in black and white. I don't think we had color back then, Frank.
At least Herb didn't.
Okay, so the way I've organized this is first from the students and alumni, your former students that say thank you. So from Karen Turco, Frank inspires his students to work extremely hard, yet the work never felt laborious. It was fun. All of Frank's students just love him. He is a gem. And Rebecca Armitage summed up life lessons that Frank gives to all his students, and they carry it in their large knowledge bucket. So here are the quotes from your former students via Rebecca. What they remember most from your courses. You thought they remembered the science reference sources, but they remember this, the life lessons. Okay. Speak softly and carry a large knowledge bucket. Share what you know and share what you don't know. Because odds are another librarian or just some random person may know. Be intrigued by the questions that come your way. Just what is an ice cream headache anyway? I Googled it and couldn't find brain freeze or anything. Anyways, speak softly and whack a puck with a bent wooden stick on a regular basis. Show by example. Help those new to the team or in a career change or are the outliers. Continue to learn. A smile costs nothing, yet is priceless to those around you. Thank you, Frank. From Nicola Pilati. I love the hair! You may even remember you were selling mugs at the, was it the North Atlantic Hospital?
Right,
Health Service?
it's nasal. North Atlantic Health Sciences
Health
Library.
Sciences nasal.
That's
Thank
the
you.
Cranston Library Association.
Okay. I have known Frank for decades. He has always been my go-to guy when I'm stuck. He is, in my view, the best medical librarian I have met. His icing on the cake is his sense of humor. There's usually a laugh in a medical librarian's question, and how we find it, I don't know, but it's usually there when, with Frank. Frank's kind, Frank's wonderful, he's the best. Okay, Tony Stankus, I pared this down to just the essentials here. Frank was one of the first to write about clinical neuropsychology, academic cognitive science, neural network, famine in Africa in the library literature. Frank published the highly commendable text, Introduction to Health Sciences Librarianship. And then he wrote everything he's published, which we know goes on forever. Frank performed the miracle of making the indexing class as entertaining as it was informative. Frank talked about 1/10 as much as I did and still said 10 times more. And we all know Tony, and that is true. I used to kid him that he was a lot like Abraham Lincoln, except he was shorter, Jewish, and played hockey. Notice the ... dots. He went on and said more, but I couldn't put it all here. But neither of us is likely to get a marble monument named after us. But Frank may yet justly get a university hockey rink, and I'll just as justly get a cafeteria.
So as we know, Tony did lead so many of us into publishing.
Yes, he did.
So we have to mention Tony's, we know his effect on us. It was great.
Absolutely. He wouldn't let me, he'd ask me to write articles. I said, oh, Tony, I'm so busy. And he goes, I only ask those that are busy because they'll get it done. That was his philosophy.
One thing that Tony left out was that you invented the indexing and abstracting course. You told us when we needed one. And recently you've told us what we ought to have next.
I was grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, and as Frank knows, Creston is going through treatments also at the Comprehensive Cancer Center, and wanted to be here today, but he has pneumonia. So he and Heather...
I probably should just interject. Yes, I do run into too many people. Since I've gotten a cancer diagnosis, and I ran into so many people who have or have had cancer. It is daunting.
Yes, and so again, he said more and I had to condense it to fit on the slide. But Frank is the kindest librarian I have ever met. His kindness is a blend of gentleness and helpfulness. He befriended me at adjunct meetings. He gave Heather a crash course in indexing to master the discipline. Frank is a gentleman librarian, gracious and kind. I saw him at the Comprehensive Cancer Center. He is brave and he is a fighter. He played a tough sport, ice hockey, and that has toughened him for the fight ahead against his cancer. As a fellow librarian, I salute you, Frank Kellerman. As a gentleman, I salute you again. As a tough, I give you my final salute, Frank Kellerman. Play hard, play to win. Other colleagues, look at the hair, Frank. But this time we're in color. Betsy, I told you we had you too.
That was my real color.
So other colleagues who aren't with us and have not lasted as long as Betsy. I thought Frank was our longest senior adjunct faculty member, 30 years. And then I found out Melody is also 30 years. And Betsy is 37, 76?
1976.
Yeah. Betsy, 37. So we have 3 seniors. You and Dewey?
Yeah, me and Dewey. It seems like that long ago.
So from Carol Dupree, I always think of his great smile and attitude. I always look forward to seeing Frank at adjunct meetings because he made you feel so good. We all wish him the best. From Cindy Longhofer in Florida, he gave me lots of encouragement when I first started teaching, and I always look forward to seeing him and getting his input on library issues. I always enjoyed Frank and his sense of humor, Beth Perry, and my new best friend. And Herb said, this will make Frank laugh when he sees the rabbit ears for Mal Goldenberg, my new best friend. I didn't know Mal Goldenberg, and he's emailing me and says, I need to talk to you. So I give him my home phone number, and he's calling me up, telling me stories, Frank stories. And I said, I just need something short to put on a slide. And he told me every piece of hockey gear that Frank wears and how he holds up his sweatpants with shoelaces. And he said, I tell him, don't be such a cheapskate and buy some new hockey gear. So he finally took off his pants and gave them to Frank. That's his story, and Frank wore them with a smile. So
he was right. Thank you for that too, Mal.
I promised Mal wanted to come today, and I told him it was a faculty meeting, but it's his birthday also. So from Herb in Florida, one of the best things that I enjoyed at adjunct meetings with Frank was the Mal stories. And from Mal, I really had to get this down to just a few short things. Frank downplayed his ability. He is a lot better ice hockey player than he would lead you to believe. One night he approached me and said, "Do you know that you and I are the only 2 Jews in the league?" Frank wore ratty old equipment, and as I said, I know all the details, and my old pants with a smile. Frank is a warm and genuine person that everyone, and I mean everyone, and he went on and on, likes. The league in general, and myself in particular, wish him the best. Now.
So I played old-timers hockey for many, many years, and it was a wonderful group to play with, and it was so much fun talking to Herb at the adjunct meetings about mail.
Oh, Herb went on and on about that as well. And so I looked on YouTube for old-timers hockey because I thought I might insert it, and I found Freezer Geezers. Do you know them?
Well, you see, there's an older group than my group.
I know. That's not even eligible to be a Freezer Geezer. You have to be 75 and over. Correct?
They play for a long time.
In that league. So, from Russia with Love, Fred and Irina. We hear that you are having a day of celebration for your service to URI, and we wanted to add our hearty congratulations. But it's hard, being in Russia, to attend such events. And there was more. We remember how you participated in the farewell lunch for us. We remember you best for your reference service at the Science Library, always cheerful, with a sense of humor and knowledgeable. Sharing your science expertise and knowledge of reference with students who will work in libraries is very laudable. And we believe that this is one of your great characteristics, a willingness to help without being self-serving. We remember your laugh and sparkling eyes. Have a great day.
You know, I'm enjoying these compliments greatly.
Good! It was so much fun to put them all in one, I have to tell you. I may create a slide for you, or a disc, and with everybody's contributions, because they go on more than what's here.
You've done a wonderful job, Cheryl.
Well, thank you. You're a wonder. It was easy to do because people kept sending me things. So from Tova, I received these pictures, and from Marilee, she said, Frank was always a rock, and those who know the Rockefeller Library reference in the Science Library, always good-natured, hardworking, and it may seem strange to use this term for a man, but it's true nonetheless. He was truly sweet-tempered, and of course, a heck of a good reference librarian. Love, Marilee. Frank is such a kind, gentle, and dedicated person, Ron Fark. Ron was in communication a lot. And everyone at Brown sent me the Brown Bear Award for Excellence. And Ron, I think it was Ron or Dan, actually got it from the archives.
The official picture.
The official picture. And wanted us all to know that in 2007, Frank got this Award of Excellence for his service to both students and faculty and helping them to succeed with their research. So congratulations, Frank. From Florence in Colorado. And Florence wrote a rather long one, and I had to condense it also. Frank was a wonderful colleague who always was there to help if one didn't quite know how to interpret the medical resources. At the Sciences Library during my 28 years there, we had a lovely tradition of celebrating birthdays. She said that would make you laugh. During the cake cutting, Frank would roast the guest of honor by asking them all kinds of silly questions. I want to know what, but anyway, maybe you can enlighten us. But when we returned the favor, Frank would regale us of his life in various parts of the country, New Mexico and his beloved Detroit, and always with great humor. We wondered, what would Frank find to embarrass us about this year? Best wishes, I'm thinking.
Thank you, Florence.
Any comments on that?
Well, it's true. I thought it was my responsibility to figure out something to talk to each birthday person about. So that was fun. It was good. Thank you for bringing that up, Florence.
Oh yeah, she wants a copy too. So from Ron really did a great job gathering some photos and sending me things. Always successful. I could send an email to Frank most any time of day, night, and get a response. And I know he was always available to his audience. whether at Brown or URI. I was Frank's supervisor for almost 20 years and feel privileged to be his colleague in the rapidly changing library environment during that period. I remember his pride when his Introduction to Health Sciences Librarianship was published in 1997. And I noticed Elliot noticed, what is it about that immature rabbit ears? When you're in a group, somebody wants to do it.
It's an urge.
So I want to say that Ron has just been amazing. So, I said with my pancreatic cancer diagnosis, I say 3 things. I'm sorry to interject here.
No, we want to know.
Okay. So I say 3 things to people. 1, I'm afraid. 2, I'm ready for the fight. And 3, this is not confidential. So I meant that. And so Ron was really deputized. You see Ron is in the middle there in the back with a nice big smile and the glasses. And so then I started receiving comments from everywhere, from people in Illinois, since I was teaching at the University of Illinois Library School, and other people around. And then people that he knew through the years with cancer who had relocated to other parts of the country would contact me still. So yeah, Ron has just been wonderful.
Ron is a rock.
Yes. And I want to mention Dwayne Davies, who's there, who's right with his hands, yes. So Dwayne Dwayne Steve, who's just off to Dwayne's right, Steve Thompson, who was also taught here at the library school several years ago. Those were the 2 people who, to me, were the Rockefeller Library and the best reference librarians that I ever knew. And Dwayne died a couple years ago from Alzheimer's, and he was just, I idolize him.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. I love this picture. This is from Janet Krager, and Janet sent me a very long tribute, and I said, I have to fit it on one slide. She said, okay, then take the last paragraph. Not all the stories of accomplishments, but the life lessons again. And you'll hear the echo from Rebecca, from your students. So from Janet, who's also a Brown, is retired now, but was a Brown Science librarian for decades. I've learned much and continue to learn about living a good life from Frank's example. Here's some of what I learned from Frank. You cannot do too much for your children. Your children deserve any effort, any sacrifice. Frank says he is very grateful and proud of Brooke and Grant. Respect everyone. Be kind. Mind your own business. Never gossip. Be honest. Don't change your values to please anyone else. Be simple. Be down to earth. Be cheerful. Be grateful. I may not practice these virtues as well as he, but I am grateful, very grateful for having a friend in Frank Kellerman.
See, Janet and I worked together for close to 30 years. We were the 2 life sciences medical librarians, and the things that Janet says about me are her. And we worked together and depended on each other so closely for so long. I'm just very, very close to Janet, and that's how I regard her.
Well, she was great. Thank you.
Those photos, Frank, you're like taking a presidential tour.
I know.
Where's Gregoria? I'm waiting to see Bill Clinton.
And so, in conclusion, to sum all of this up, I thought there was a theme running through everyone's comments, and it was the theme of the gentleman. And I had said to Frank that quote from the Sing play, Playboy of the Western World, when Pegeen says at the end of the play, when Christy Mahan is leaving, and he wasn't a fabulous character for those of you who know the play. I mean, he tried to kill his father, but he leaves at the end, and she's fallen in love with him, and she goes, there goes the only playboy of the Western world. And I said to Frank, I think he's the only gentleman we have, the true gentleman, scholar, librarian. So I went searching for a poem, and there wasn't any gentleman, scholar, librarian poem that I found.
That's an opportunity.
But I don't think it's an oxymoron. I think there is the gentleman, scholar, librarian, and I think it is embodied in Frank. And this was the closest I could get to incorporate the attributes that I admire most in Frank. And my husband said, you said you were getting a poem. That is not a poem. And I said, but it has the right sentiments. And he goes, okay. You said you were going to keep this light. I said, I will. Okay, so the true gentleman is the man whose conduct proceeds from goodwill and an acute sense of propriety, and whose self-control is equal to all emergencies, who does not make the poor man conscious of his poverty, the obscure man of his obscurity, or any man of his inferiority or deformity, who is himself humbled if necessity compels him to humble another, who does not flatter wealth, cringe before power, or boast of his own possessions or achievements, who speaks with frankness, but always with sincerity and sympathy, whose deed follows his word, who thinks of the rights and feelings of others rather than his own, and who appears well in any company. A man with whom honor is sacred and virtue safe. And Ron got that just last week for me. And then we have, for a lighter touch, we have Dan to thank for our final salute.